And do you want me to keep video on or shall I switch it off?
Ma'am, it is not compulsory to have a video, ma'am. It's left to you.
Okay.
So that you can save some bandwidth.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Present now. Your entire screen. Are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am, it is loading.
Okay.
Now we can see.
Okay. I had my presentation here. Yes. So I am Prachi and I work in Wipro. So today I am going to talk about application of blockchain in finance. I will try to cover on why blockchain is gaining importance in this field. Also, I will cover different protocols in blockchain which are optimized for financial transactions. So, if we see, actually, there are a lot of changes happening in financial service. So, if you see the way we used to do banking or way we used to do financial service is really changing fast in past few years. Nowadays, not many prefer the traditional ways of banking, where end customer has to go to the branch or like to do financial transactions. People want basically banking and financial transactions to be done from home, and also this they want to do it at a reasonable cost and in real time. So digital experience has become must in almost all fields. Another thing is, with globalization, world has become more connected. People are able to shop and invest online irrespective of basically which location you are. We are able to do cross border, cross currency payment, and that has become very essential feature. And nowadays, even if you see like very like news, even people want to like buy news online or some small articles. So buying news or these small articles, this shouldn't cost much because it will be on an article basis. So this should be of very small amount. So basically micro payments also like gaining lot of importance. And what is very essential in micro payments is the cost, like the fees which we pay for payments shouldn't exceed whatever the payment we have to bear for articles or reading some news. So basically uh, and when we have this digital experience, then cyber security, or we want all our transactions to be very safe. uh, and another thing is, when we are doing this cross border or cross currency payments, now different countries have come up with their own financial setup. So different countries have requirements for AML, like anti money laundering, know your customer, OFAC mandates. So what happens is, like, since different countries have come up with the different setups, whatever the new the financial solution we come up with, it has to take care of all the existing things plus build something on top of it. So that is the basically people are working on finding the different solutions. And we all are aware of different payment rails which we are using since long time. If we see cash, like most of the time we just for buying small items, we just end up paying cash. Or if you want to urgently, we used to urgently pay somebody, then people used to use wire transfer, which is very reliable but expensive. Usage of cards is very common nowadays. And in case of banking services, there are different payment rails which are ACH, SEPA or SEPI, depending on like which country you are in. So ACH refers to automated clearing house. It is mainly used in America. It is inexpensive but used to take longer time to transfer. There have lot of changes have happened in ACH and SEPA. SEPA is related to Europe, but still, this, especially cross border and cross currency payment, that needs some more exploration. And nowadays, like cryptocurrency is the one which is gaining a lot of traction. So cryptocurrency is the new addition in payments. Cryptocurrency is based on blockchain technology, and a lot of exploration is happening in this field. So why are people considering blockchain in financial services? Before we really understand that why people are looking at blockchain, we will see some of the properties which blockchain basically has. So blockchain is a distributed immutable ledger. Since it is immutable, records are never deleted and all records are present. So basically, if somebody wants to basically they want to go through all the transactions, so all the transactions will be there, like whichever goes on blockchain. And all these transactions are stored on all the nodes which are part of the blockchain. So there is always availability, like even if some of the nodes are down, still it's very difficult for all the nodes to be down at the same time. So availability is very high. And since all records are stored using cryptography, it's very difficult to alter the record. Uh, and all blockchains use something called consensus algorithm for finalizing the transactions. So what happens is, that is why there is no central authority in the blockchain. This consensus algorithm takes care of finalizing the transaction, and those finalized transactions are added to the blockchain. So there is no need of some central authority or intermediaries. Like actually, if you see cross border payment, then maybe if we want to transfer from some X country to Y country, so it may go through different intermediaries. But if you see blockchain, since it's global, like there is no need of intermediaries, so the cost of this cross border decreases because of this consensus algorithm. And there are different consensus algorithms, so uh, which makes the system have inbuilt trust. So does anyone have any questions till now, or I can proceed to Bitcoin?
Yes, please. Please
Okay.
proceed.
Yeah. So in 2002, in 2008, one second. Okay, in 2008, blockchain journey started with Bitcoin. And there was a paper published, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So Bitcoin is a blockchain which is again permissionless and public blockchain. So anybody can join it without any validation. All transactions are public. And Bitcoin offers the cryptocurrency with the same name. This cryptocurrency is cryptographically secured. And this cryptocurrency is mining based. That means whenever it uses this POW, which is proof of work, as a consensus algorithm. So what happens is, whenever somebody validates transactions and puts those transactions in a block, so those are called miners. So as an incentive to those miners, bitcoins are generated. So those are called basically mining based cryptocurrency. So whoever solves the cryptographic puzzle, they will get this bitcoins as incentive. And like there is a cap on the bitcoin. It's not that bitcoins are limited. It is capped at 21 millions. And basically every 4 years, the whatever the incentive, it is reduced, I think, by 25%. So I think currently there are almost 19 millions Bitcoin available. And since it uses proof of work as a consensus algorithm, so basically it's a algorithm where different miners try to solve cryptographic puzzle, and the difficulty level is adjusted by the system itself. uh, if whatever the blocks are created, more than 51% miners have to accept, and then only that block becomes valid. So the trust is inbuilt in blockchain, in Bitcoin. Uh, it with this inherent properties, it feels superficially that one can really use Bitcoin for global payments, since it like Bitcoin is the only currency it uses. But in real life, there are a few obstacles, like whenever we do transaction, any transaction in real life, then finality of the transaction is very important. Like if I have done some transaction, then it should be final if it is completed. But in Bitcoin, what happens, new block is generated every 10 minutes. And there is also a concept called fork. So if you have to be very sure that your transaction is confirmed, then you have to wait at least 5 more blocks. So if you consider that so basically around 6 blocks you have to wait to be very sure that your transaction will not be your transaction uh, like basically will be there, and it is not irreversible. So finality time is almost 1 hour, which is not acceptable in real time. Also, Bitcoin can handle 7 transactions per second. So yeah, but in real life, you will have to handle thousands of transactions, especially in the global level. The magnitude of transactions will be much more, and in those cases, Bitcoin will not be able to handle so many transactions. So scalability is really a issue. Then the Bitcoin is very volatile. So basically, the over a time, the value change in the value of Bitcoin, basically it varies, and quite a lot, because of so many other factors. So since it is volatile, whenever you are doing some business, you want to use something which is, like today, if you see that you are since everything finally in current system converts back to fiat currency we use. So suppose if I know now that, okay, if I am going to get 100 rupees tomorrow, or after few days, if it becomes 50% of what I am getting today, then it is really not acceptable. And whatever transactions we do in Bitcoin, we have basic transaction fees for each of these transactions. And when we do micro payments, it is in very small amount, so this fees may not be very feasible for this small amount. So it is not a very suitable payment system for micro payments. Also, if you see that country specific regulations or taxation are not taken care, anybody can join anonymously. It's very difficult basically to track, since you may not have any trace. And like how does taxation work for each countries, or how do we take care of AML or KYC? So these are some of the reasons people have started exploring more. And uh, uh, they have come up with something called lightning network. Like there are multiple people have come up with different solution. So one of the solution is lightning network, and it tries to solve the problem of scalability of Bitcoin and also micropayments. So how does it solve this micropayments and scalability? So what lightning network does is, it provides solution as a layer 2 solution, which is on top of Bitcoin. Now what it does, it creates payment channel between two parties. Like if whoever wants to transfer money, so it uses payment channels, and this channel is represented as an entry on the Bitcoin public ledger. So basically, whenever two parties want to transfer the funds. So what it does is it creates this payment channel, and all the transactions will happen on payment channel, but only the transaction for opening this channel, and when somebody wants to close the channel, only these two transactions can happen on Bitcoin. So the whatever the fees involved will be only for this two transactions, and all other transaction can be carried out on the payment channel. So this is how it will look. So we will have layer 1 Bitcoin network, and on layer 2 we have Lightning network. Now if A and B have payment channel created between them, so what happens is, first step is they have to create funding transaction, so which goes to blockchain or Bitcoin. So what is this funding transaction? This, in funding transaction, what they specify is, they specify the opening balance for the parties A and B, and this channel will have the signature of both A and B. So once they agree on this funding transaction, that how much amount they are starting with, that transaction is put on ledger. And after that, if they want to transfer any money from A to B, then they have to use committing transactions. And like suppose A wants to transfer some funds to B, then what A will do is A will send some basically transaction, committing, it will create a committing transaction which is signed by A, and it will tell that okay, like I am going to transfer you so and so money. B also creates similar committing transaction and it sends to A. So now A has the committing transaction which is signed by B, and B has the committing transaction which is signed by A. This committing transactions need not go on Bitcoin, so they can continue like that. And every time, like in the next step, like if suppose they transferred some 10 rupees, then next again A wants to transfer to B next 10 rupees. So what happens is, then the previous committing transaction is invalidated and new committing transaction is created. And though these committing transactions are not on Bitcoin, then there is another thing that it shouldn't happen, that the previous invalidated transaction A tries to submit to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will not have any idea of the next committing transactions which has happened. So A shouldn't try to encash that money, which will be more than what A needs to have the final balance. So for that, it uses the concept of revocation key. So every committing transaction, when it is created, it creates the revocation key. So revocation key is nothing but hash of some key. So suppose now we have committing transaction. Whenever A sends committing transaction, then it also has this revocation key. Now when the next committing transaction is created and previous needs to be invalidated, then what A does is A sends the key to B. So B knows that what was the key used for to generate the hash of the revocation key. So in that case, if A sends invalidated transaction on Bitcoin, and B observes that A has basically submitted the invalid transaction, then B can submit the basically key, that pre-image of the revocation key, and it will so that is the way it will it tells that it's a invalidated, it's not a valid transaction, and in that case the complete amount will come to B. That is the way lightning network tries to handle all if somebody wants to cheat other party. And also it is not necessary that basically so if A wants to again pay to somebody who is with whom A doesn't have a channel created, so in that case, since creation of channel is something which requires the funding transaction to be on Bitcoin, and one needs to pay the fees. It's not necessary that A needs to have always channel created for whichever party it needs to pay. So what it does is, if A sees that B has a channel created with C, then A can pay to C through basically B. What happens in that case? What happens is, A will send the money to B and B will send money to C. But also there has to be some trust. So to establish that trust, they use one algorithm called HTLC, which is hash time locked contract. So in that, what happens is, uh, C is supposed to create one key basically, and the hash, hash of that key is sent to A, and um, okay, so basically A will then tell B basically that I will pay you so and so money or so and so funds if you can pay on my behalf this money to C. But A will pay to B only if B can prove that B has got the key correctly. So A sends this message to B, B sends this message to C. What C does is, C basically gets the funds, and then it gives the key back to B, and B tells A that, see, I have got the original key, and B can go ahead and submit this. Basically, it can encash whatever the funds A is transferring to B. So basically, with this, one can transfer to basically many, even if there is no direct channel between the two parties. So this is how Lightning Network works, and it has gained a lot of popularity. Uh, but yeah, again, it's not, like 100% secure, because there are again few disadvantages. So when you use Lightning Network, one has to have Bitcoin wallet, because whatever the transfer, it is on top of Bitcoin. So everything happens on, basically you need to have a Bitcoin wallet, and one can spend only in terms of Bitcoin. uh, this opening and closing of the channel happens on chain, so there is still some fees involved. And if it is for a longer duration, then I think, I mean, it makes more sense. But if it is for smaller duration or for very small amounts, then I think again the fees may increase, especially for micro payments. Then another thing is, like, suppose one of the party is offline, then even if other party submits invalidated transaction, and other party doesn't notice, though Lightning Network has watchtowers and it will send you some notification. But if somebody is offline for a long time, then if that contest window is closed, the funds will, basically another party can cheat. And uh, Also, since it is solely based on Bitcoin, uh, the volatility, and Bitcoin is very volatile. Again, for daily transactions, I mean, it's a question mark whether it is feasible for daily transactions, since, people do prefer currencies which is at least stable over long time. So that is about Lightning Network. So
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Uh-huh.
Recently we are heard in the papers like somebody stolen the bitcoins and he stored for he used for his purpose. So where do you think the things are compromised, ma'am? Either he mimics some, he forced the people for unauthorized transactions, or else he voluntarily he himself did the crime.
There are lot of crimes like these crimes do happen in cryptocurrency world. So there are multiple ways this crime can happen when you take any of the blockchain. If you see Bitcoin, we are using proof of work. So what is this proof of work? Is basically miner tries to solve this cryptographic puzzle. But what happens is, if 51% of miners collude,
Okay.
so okay, so if 51% my, which is slightly difficult, but if 51% of miners collude, then one can generate the block which is not very correct, and there lot of stealing can happen.
Okay.
On Ethereum, stealing can happen through smart contracts. Like some bugs are there in smart contracts, then that stealing can happen. And also, at very bottom level, it is basically network which it uses public network.
Okay.
So there are a few basically cases where you can shadow some miner, and you can like there are some eclipse attacks, or there are multiple attacks basically.
Okay.
So it's not that I mean, even uh, even it's not that somebody can do these attacks, because there are multiple ways to attack blockchains, and people are trying to find better solutions, or they are trying to work towards making it more and more secure. But it is susceptible to these attacks, or this malware attacks. I mean, it is susceptible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, many attacks have happened through malware, through Eclipse, or this coal mine. Some miners collude. Also, what happens is Bitcoin tries to maintain the rate, that 10 blocks per minute. So what happens is sometimes some miner will find the solution, but they will try to not publish. So what happens, everybody will think that it is very difficult. I mean, the mining level is very difficult, and the system will automatically try to reduce the difficulty level. And then when it becomes very easy, then also some attacks can happen. So there are multiple ways where attacks have happened.
Ma'am, is there any authority who is governing all these transactions, ma'am, related
No,
to Bitcoin?
no. So that is why, see, in India, if you see, there were many. It's not regulated, so it is decentralized. That is why we call it decentralized, because there is no governing authority here. There is no central body which really regulates it, and that is why there is so much resistance to getting acceptance in day-to-day life.
Okay, ma'am, who will standardize these protocols and other things, ma'am? Because when it comes to internet, we have a standard body, W3C is there. So, like bit related to blue, I mean, uh, for this, any other standard authority is there?
See, it is supposed to be decentralized. That means no authority should be there. But people are trying to have a hybrid model where some regulations are there. So, see, it's not yet mature. People are still working, but there is no single authority. There is no authority. Like basically, people are trying to do it with some using few of centralized concept. We will see one of the network called Stellar Network, where people are using this hybrid concept and try to come up with a sustainable system. Maybe when we see Stellar Network, we will discuss more on this.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. So okay, so that is what about was Bitcoin and Lightning Network. Then coming to Ethereum. So Ethereum's distinguishing factor was smart contract. Like if you see Bitcoin, what we have done is we have just done transactions, and like we there is no way we can write something, or if we want to run some decentralized application, then there is no basically easier, there is no way I can run it on Bitcoin nodes. But Ethereum came up with this smart contract concept. Ethereum also is public permissionless blockchain. It uses cryptocurrency, Ethereum, and this currency also is mining based. So basically, whenever somebody mines the block, they do get around 5 coins. Uh, and Ethereum supports 15 transactions per second, which is better than Bitcoin, and it adds new block every 12 seconds. It also uses proof of work. But the next version they are planning to use proof of stake, since they are trying to increase this transaction per second. So that is why they are planning to, Ethereum 2.0 is planning to move towards POS. And since it supports smart contract, any decentralized application, we can run it on Ethereum. So these smart contracts are written in Solidity. It's a programming language, and this smart contracts are run on something called Ethereum virtual machine, which are run on basically full Ethereum nodes. Uh, but it also has similar problems like Bitcoin when it comes to adaptation to the for global payments. Finalization time is more than a minute. Here also, there is basically we have to wait for 6 blocks, because after 6 blocks we can be to somewhat sure that the transactions will not be reversible. And so basically it is almost a minute. And again we have this issue of scalability and volatility. uh, Also in Ethereum we need to pay fees for each transaction, which is quite high. And this is permissionless, so again anybody can join the blockchain. It's difficult to follow country specific KYC and AML. That is the reason it is not very still widely accepted also in day to day life. So if you see now Bitcoin as well as for Ethereum, we have seen that scalability is the issue, and we also saw that volatility. So people have tried to solve this by coming up with different solutions. So to solve the problem of scalability, people have come up with layer 2 solutions. Like we have seen Lightning Network, which is a layer 2 solution. So similarly, one can have different solutions. One is state channels, then plasma side channels, and we have roll-ups. So we will see what is plasma and side channels. So basically, what we see is like Ethereum or Bitcoin are basically because of consensus, and we are not able to achieve uh, whatever the transactions we want to, a high number of transaction and finality. So what we can do is we can have, instead of just completely dependent on this Ethereum or Bitcoin, we can have layer 2 solution. We can have another blockchain. So we can call it a child blockchain. And this child blockchain, we can have some consensus algorithm which can give us more transaction per second. So it is not maybe as secure as Ethereum or Bitcoin, but what we can do is we can have in case of plasma, like if some block is mined, we will have some information associated with the basically if there are multiple transactions, so we will have root of each block, and some information of each block can go to the mainnet, which can be Ethereum or Bitcoin. So in this case what happens is, like all transaction happen on layer 2. So it is much faster, and finality also is achieved much faster, but only the root of block information goes to the mainnet, so only that transaction is there. In this case, what happens in case of any basically, if there is any doubt or anything, people can still prove, since the root is already there on mainnet. So people can prove that okay, this transaction was done, or this block is there, and so plasma achieves security. Like, it does sacrifice some security on layer 2, but it compensates that by putting the root of the block on mainnet. And example of this is Matic. Like, this is an Indian startup, Polygon, which had gained quite a lot of popularity. So it uses it has layer 2 solution, and it tries to solve this scalability issue uh, using this plasma feature. Then there is something called side chains. So side chains are independent blockchains. So plasma, we say that they are the child. That means the root information goes to mainnet. But in side chain, it is only the basically beginning and end information goes of the so basically, if somebody wants to do some transaction, so since sidechain has an independent blockchain, all the transactions are done on this side chains, uh, and whatever transactions they have to do, so that amount gets locked on mainnet, so that no unless that party exits from sidechain, that amount remains locked in on Ethereum. And only when somebody wants to exit, then basically one transaction will be sent to the mainnet, and that amount get unlocked depending on basically what is the status, like how much transaction has happened on sidechains till then. So that is how sidechain works, and sidechain also has can keep the consensus algorithm. It can use even POS, POW, or whatever. So that is how sidechain works. And example is Polkadot uses basically different sidechains. It connects to Bitcoin as well as Ethereum, and that is how they try to solve scalability. So plasma and sidechain only differ in the sense is sidechain is more secure, and plasma achieves that security by having the root submitted on mainnet. And also there is then third concept is roll up. So what happens in roll ups is basically we have layer 1, layer 2 blockchains, and in roll ups, what they try to do is all transaction happens on layer 2, but they take all the basically data related to those transactions, and only that data is put on mainnet. And the roll-ups, there are different types of roll-ups. So basically uh, there is also something called zero knowledge roll-ups, that you don't really have to put the data, but you just want to have the zero knowledge proof, that okay, with which you can basically verify that okay, all those transactions have happened, or that on layer 2. So a lot of research is going on, but I mean, still people are exploring these fields. So these are the different ways people are trying to achieve scalability with layer 2. Ethereum also is trying to release the next version. The plan is getting postponed. It was supposed to happen this year, but now it is planned for next year 2.0, where they are planning to introduce the concept of sharding. So what will happen is not all nodes need to be involved. It will be only subset of the nodes which will be involved in the transactions, and with which they may be able to improve scalability. So any questions still here?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Just, I have one question.
Yes.
You said that miners do that proof of work. So, is it possible to explain it overview? What is this proof of work?
Okay. Okay, fine. See, proof of work is basically it is nothing uh, but creation of hash. It uses this SHA-256 algorithm. So what happens in proof of work is one can create a hash, but difficulty level is managed by how many nons or how many zeros you should have before this hash. So suppose it is much easier, like if the difficulty level is very low, then they may tell that you need to have only four zeros before the hash value, or difficulty level increases, then they may tell you need to have seven zeros. So what happens is this miners, whatever like if there are suppose 10 transactions, then they have to create basically the hash in such a manner that there are either four zeros or eight zeros depending on what is the difficulty level at that time. So what happens is coming up with the solution which has 8 0 in front is much more difficult than coming up with the four zeros. And that is how that average 10 minutes per block is maintained.
Okay, thanks. I get some idea. Thanks.
Okay.
I have one additional question to this. Can I ask that now, perhaps?
Yes, yes, yes.
See, the thing is, what kind of capability is judged by this data, whatever mining you called it, Bitcoin mining or whatever it's
Yes,
called.
yes. So see, what the main objective of this having consensus algorithm is having trust in the system, since there is no central authority. Like if basically I somebody shouldn't tell that okay, that a person should transfer all bitcoins to me, or I shouldn't try to take bitcoins from 2 3 addresses. So how do I basically make sure that whatever transaction goes in the block, like this or whatever POW POS, these are all these Byzantine fault tolerant algorithms. So what happens is what it mandates is first of all finding the solution which is which is time intensive and also resource intensive, and only if 51% agree to it, then only that those transactions are finalized in the bitcoin. So
No, no.
basically it is to create
Yeah,
trust in the system.
I understand that. For example, I have no knowledge of cryptography or I have no knowledge of bitcoins, but I want to invest in Bitcoin. I have a lot of my usual Indian rupee
Ha,
currency.
ha, ha.
How do I do that? Is that possible?
Yes, yes, it is possible. So there are different exchanges. Like there is this Coinbase or Wazir, which is in quite a lot of news last year or this year
Ah,
because of some regulations
yeah,
related problems. So
correct.
what we have to do is we have to create our account with one of the exchanges. So these exchanges are nothing but they will allow you to exchange your rupees to bitcoins.
So
So
they
you
are the miners, is it? Means they
no,
get
they are not the miners. No, no, no. They are not the miners. They will
mm,
just allow you. See, Bitcoin is there are some nodes. Bitcoin is nothing but the set of nodes, some of which are miners,
mm,
and but usually the exchanges are they just provide you the facility of basically changing from one currency to other currency. So they usually offer this facility of converting from fiat to cryptocurrency. And most of these exchanges, again, exchanges can be decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges. So
mm.
these exchanges will also have some coin. They will also issue some coin. So usually those are called stable coins, which we will see later. But we
Okay.
can convert our fiat to stable coins, and we have to buy bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency through one of these applications, basically
Mhm.
through these exchanges.
Okay.
Like how we
Okay.
buy stocks, we need to have, the account, and we go to the stock, I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
NSE, BSE, and buy. So similar way.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. You can continue.
Okay. So we saw one of the main problem was volatility. Then one of the problem was scalability. Then another problem was volatility. So we see like volatile, like both Ethereum, Bitcoin, they are very volatile. So the reason why they are so volatile is it's very new concept, and it will take some time to settle down. Also there is too much of speculation, which leads, too many people joining and then leaving. Even if Elon Musk tweets something, people just start, like, I mean, there is lot of speculation, and there are, some very influential people which really have that power to I mean, too many people joining, or suddenly they leave. So because of that, that volatility comes. And also it is not controlled by any central authority, like fiat is controlled uh, by central banks. So due to high volatility, they are we see that they are not very ideal for everyday use. And one needs like some currency which is, one wants it to be stable at least for a longer duration. So that is why they have come up with this concept of stable coin, or CBDC is nothing but central bank digital currency. So how the concept of stable coin is, like, stable coins also are backed by some assets. Like it can be backed by fiat, or it can be backed by some precious metals like gold, or it can also be autonomously controlled with some algorithm, which can be decentralized algorithm. So that is the concept of stable coins. And stable coin will be able to bridge the gap between fiat and cryptocurrencies. So there are some crypto stable coins which are in the market and which are quite popular. So we have Maker DAO's DAI and USD Tether, and both of these stable coins are backed by US dollar. Uh, and this CBDC, which is central bank digital currencies, they are issued by Central Bank of India. So in UK, if you see, there like lot of like research is happening, and there are many articles they have asked people to come up with the concept for introducing this central bank digital currency. So it will be nothing but, like, it will be the digital currency corresponding to that country's fiat. And these will be regulated, since it will be central bank, it will be regulated and centralized, it will not be decentralized. And it will be available only in digital format. So even government is trying to find different solutions of how to use this system more efficiently. And so basically with this scalability and volatility trying people are trying to solve. And also people are trying to come up with the hybrid approach, which can use blockchain as well as the current system, current banking which is there. So Stellar has come up with one hybrid approach. It is also open source and multi-currency platform. And what happens is Stellar uses uh, this Stellar consensus algorithm, which is based on federated Byzantine algorithm. So this algorithm works on voting. So basically, maximum people have to vote, and whatever majority vote, those are the transactions which are finalized. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to finalize the transaction, and it can support thousands of transactions per second. They never tell how many, but as per their documents, it is a scalable system. So what it happens is, what they do is they support almost all digital representation of money, dollar, bitcoins. It also has its own cryptocurrency called Lumen. And it allows you to redeem. Basically, what happens is, maybe we can see this, so we will understand more. Yeah. So Stellar is built in 3 layers. So bottom layer is the blockchain. Layer 1 is decentralized exchange, and layer 2 is anchors. So anchors are nothing but maybe the banks or some central authority of corresponding countries. So Stellar is trying to add to the existing financial system, uh, and it's a 3 layer architecture. So basically, what happens is, since these anchors are banks, whenever somebody wants to join Stellar network, they have to verify, they have to do some verification, like KYC type of verification, and then only anybody is able to join Stellar network. And they use the digital representation of fiat currency called token. So if somebody wants to okay, so there are banks, there is a this decentralized exchange and Stellar network. So anchors will make sure only I mean, everybody has the correct documents, they will be able to join. What decentralized exchange does it, that it tries, it has inbuilt decentralized exchange, so it tries to support as many currencies as possible, and it converts most of these currencies into tokens, which are nothing but the digital representation of that currency, and it will be backed by that currency. Um so Also it has it uses coin firm, that is another firm which is doing lot of research in this anti-money laundering, because the money used or whatever exchanged, it shouldn't be used for cross-border terrorism, or it shouldn't be, like, I mean, it should be used in a proper manner, and with it should be also, government should have most of the information. So the coin firm specializes in many of these AML and different regulations. So Stellar used that to make sure that all AML rules and regulations are followed. So what happens is, if somebody wants to send money in Stellar network from A to B, then they can, like, basically the anchors are the banks. So what that bank will do is, that bank will basically take the money from whoever wants to transfer, then it goes through decentralized exchange, it gets converted to basically lumen or whatever the currency, supported currency, and then it will see that whatever the transferring, suppose it wants to transfer from maybe dollars to rupees, then it will see that in decentralized exchange, lumen to rupees, what is the best offered value, it will pick up that value, does the conversions, and the money is deposited. So what it does, it always will make sure that it has enough funds as a backup of the corresponding fiat currency. So that is how Stellar network works. And some of the problems in Stellar is that we don't have smart contract language. And see, this Stellar network kind of ecosystem can become popular only if there are I mean, lot of banks which join, or there are lot of like stakeholders, or so there are not like many projects which are using currently Stellar, but IBM is trying to like use it, so it is getting some popularity again. So with this we come to an end. So we will see, like, basically so digital currencies do the main benefits are, since like, okay, there can be centralized digital currencies as well as decentralized. So for digital currencies, we don't need physical distribution, For decentralized, we really don't need any intermediaries, and it is the system which takes care. So we can reduce transaction cost. We can also try to, use the same cryptocurrency which will be used everywhere, in the, like, wherever you are using this system. But other disadvantages is that there are huge storage requirements. So there are also people are exploring that how do you store, and with day to day this data is going to only increase. So how do you efficiently store this huge and continuously increasing data? Also, since it is like it is digital, it is susceptible to hacking, and we have seen in the past that there were many attacks which has happened. So these are some of the disadvantages. And still, like, to gain, I think we are still away from, gaining complete acceptance. And there are, though people are working for handling AML, KYC, scalability, and all other, like, whatever the issues we are facing, but there is still some time till we come to the solution, and it will be, widely accepted. So with that, I think that is all from me.
Prachi, can I ask one question, if you don't
Yes.
mind?
Yeah.
I just want to continue with that Wazir thing, and it's not clear to me. See, I have some money, some currency, Indian rupee or whatever, US dollars or whatever. Now I want to convert it to Bitcoin. Now, you say that anyway, Bitcoin doesn't have a centralized authority, right? So,
Yes.
when I convert my currency to Bitcoin, what happens to that currency?
That currency, so you see, you are converting whatever currency, basically. If you buy stocks, what happens? You get stocks, but your money is taken by the whatever BSC or NSC. So
Correct.
your money will be taken by Wazir, and see, and it will be like in the system. That money will be in the system as a because, see, everything should be backed by whatever the fiat currencies. So see, now you are buying from one currency to you are buying Bitcoin, but there will be a case where somebody wants to sell their Bitcoins. So in that case, your current, like, that will be the storage of that exchange which it will provide. So that way money will keep circulating.
So it will be with Wazir. He'll be
Yes,
that person, that
with
entity will have the.
that exchange. Yes, so that is how, many of the systems will keep their liquidity. And there are see, even business, actually a lot of research is happening. There is Ripple network which works for B2B, and Stellar network has come mainly for micropayments. But there is another solution which is called Satoshi Pay, which is again for B2B. So actually there is lot of things are happening in this field, and this whole as called decentralized financing, DeFi. So a lot of things are happening. If you see day to day basis, you will see something new is happening.
Yeah, good, nice overview. Thanks.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
can they use these transactions for Hawala money transactions, ma'am?
Yes. They can obviously use. See, that is why they tell that anti-money laundering. See, Bitcoin, you can use you can have anonymous accounts. You open 100 accounts. So that is why anyway, this Wazir is not Hawala, but yesterday or today there was a news that they have not paid so much of tax. They have. Because of this they have not paid, and government is looking into it. But yes, it can be used since it's not regulated, and nobody is able to track at that level. So that is why, people are trying to incorporate regulations of the specific countries and have some regulations in place. So India had allowed few months back then actually India had told that cryptocurrency is not allowed, but then Supreme Court had told that, see, I mean, it's not that it's not allowed, it's not regulated. So there are some few it can be used.
Okay, audience, have any questions? Please unmute and ask. Hope there is no questions, ma'am. Ma'am Prachi, ma'am, thanks a lot for joining us for this session and giving an overview on these finances in using blockchain. Ma'am, on behalf of the complete organizing team, once again, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I also thank you all for attending the session.
Fine, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The next session is on stress management by Dr. Bhavana. Bhavana, ma'am, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Anil.
Ma'am, we'll take 2 minutes to start the session, ma'am.
Sure.